Welcome back to episode 4 in our self-compassion area of depression. This is where we're going to practice kind inner dialogue. Remember, this is all about decreasing those depression that we have, those depression behaviors that we have, that depression voice in our head, right? And it's really about increasing our healthy behaviors that we do want in this life, the version of ourselves that we want to be, the one that we see when we envision our long-term goals and then set our short-term goals to then follow those long-term goals. And so really it's the mind's eye version of ourselves, and how can we become the best version that we'd like to be. Maybe others see in us, but we don't quite see it yet. So this theme is all about speak to yourself like a friend would. And so welcome back to the Softening the Inner Critic. This is episode 4, like I said, and if no one has told you lately, you're doing something courageous by showing up here to do this work, because work is not easy when we're doing it on ourselves. So far, we've explored why self-compassion matters, how to identify your inner critic, and how to create space between your thoughts and your sense of self. So today we're making that space softer. This episode is all about your inner voice, the tone, language, and energy you use when you are talking to yourself. Because if your self-talk was directed at someone else, someone you love, you might be shocked by how harsh it does really sound. And so let's shift that. In this episode, we'll explore what a compassionate voice actually sounds like, the difference between critical versus kind phrasing, and how to rewrite your inner critic script using friendship as your guide. So how do we get started here? Well, what does a kind inner voice sound like? So we often tell people to be kind to yourself, but what does that actually mean? A kind inner voice uses warmth instead of shame, acknowledges effort, not just outcomes, and speaks to you like you matter, even when you are still struggling. It might sound like, this is really hard, and I'm still here. I didn't get everything done, but I did show up, and it's okay to need rest. I am not a machine. And so this doesn't mean you ignore your mistakes or you sugarcoat things. It means you respond with care, not cruelty. And so try imagining someone else saying your inner dialogue to you. Would it make you feel safe, or would it make you feel small? And the goal is to create a voice inside you that helps you stay, not the one that pushes you away. And so what's the next step in this practicing kind inner dialogue? Well, it's harsh phrases versus gentle alternatives. So let's get practical. So here's going to be a list of some common phrases that people say to themselves, and then we're going to soften them. So we'll say the critical phase, and then we'll say the compassionate reframe. And this is actually simple, like a behavioral chart where you have a situation, you have a thought, that's associated feeling, and then normally our action and our pros and cons from that. And so when we're struggling with situations, we'll put what normally the situation is and what normal thoughts are, but then we're gonna add some reframe thoughts, different thoughts that would lead to different feelings, then would lead to a different outcome. So this is the same thing. We always want to reframe our thoughts that are really not serving us anymore and that are not good for us. So if we say something like, I'm such a failure, we could replace that with, I'm having a hard time and that doesn't define me. So if we said something I'm lazy, we'd rephrase that to be, my energy is low right now. That's not laziness. It is a signal to me. So if our critical phase is, no one else struggles like this, compassionate reframe would be, everyone has hard seasons. I'm not alone in this. Critical would be, I should be over this by now. Compassion would be, healing doesn't follow a schedule and I'm doing the best I can. Language really does matter. It shapes how safe we feel inside of ourselves. So practice. Take one phrase your inner critic repeats often. Now write or say a gentle alternative, even if it feels awkward at first. Kindness is a muscle, like any muscle. We have to use it to strengthen it, and we need to keep using it over and over again So it just becomes a muscle memory, and we don't really have to think about using it any longer. So what's another thing we can do? Well, we can use the best friend script. And here is a very simple and very powerful tool. When you're being hard on yourself, pause and ask, if my best friend said this about themselves, what would I say to them? Would you tell your friend, yeah, you're totally lazy and broken? Of course you wouldn't. You'd probably say, you're doing your best. This doesn't mean that you're failing, and you're allowed to feel this way and still be lovable. Now practice saying that to yourself. So try this script technique. So right now, I feel what? If my friend felt this, I would say what? So I'm going to offer myself the same kindness. Over time, this retrains our brain to respond with support and hopefully not with self-attack. That's truly all we want. Is, again, our brain is like anything in our body. It is just muscle memory of our thoughts, right? And we have thousands of thoughts a day. So if we can take those critical ones, we can reframe them over and over again, then we are able to have a new muscle memory for our thoughts, for ourselves. And the best time, of course, to do this is to do it before your inner critic sets in. You've already got some thoughts that you know that you could use in replace of your inner critic when you get in those situations where you are more harsh on yourself than you should really be. So to recap and wrap up, a kind inner voice is one that helps you stay, especially when you feel like leaving yourself. Even small shifts in language can make your inner world more livable, and you deserve to be spoken to with the same compassion you offer someone that you love. In the next episode, we'll tackle a common block. What if self-compassion feels fake, cringe, or completely out of reach for us? And so comment below on this question. What's one harsh phrase you're ready to reframe? And what would a kinder version sound like? So remember, you don't have to speak perfectly, just speak gently. You're learning, you're growing, you're worthy of warmth. And again, I am so proud of you. Here's a section that I like as well. It's where I get to talk about the journals I created and the children's book I have created. Of course, there will be more to come on both of these aspects. But for right now, in a world that moves too fast, what if you could create a space to come home to yourself and do the same for your children? Start with a heart, with a self-love, self-discovery, and self-discipline journal. It really is your guided path to clarity, purpose, and showing up for the life that you truly do want. And of course, when anxiety arises, meet yourself with compassion. The Anchored in Kindness journal helps you calm your nervous system, understand your patterns, and find peace, one breath, one page at a time. And for those little hearts you do love the most, meet Luna and Bravion the lion, a magical story that helps children find their courage, listen to their hearts, and trust their own glowing spark. It is a story of bravery, self-trust, and emotional wisdom. And of course, there's worksheets at the end of it for children, for themselves. You may need to help them, but here they get to discover their own bravery, their own courage, and their own spark in their own life. That will hopefully help them start down the path of speaking kindly to themselves and understanding that tools are really great, and it's the small wins and our inner belief and our inner self-worth that is going to push us forward and move us along in those times that do become hard for us. So if you liked this video, if it was helpful at all, like the video, subscribe, and share with anyone who may need it.